Good morning and welcome to Webinar Tuesday. My name is Mary Jo Williams. I'm the Network Training Coordinator at the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center. Today's presentation is the Economic Aid Act updates. And before we begin, let me share a little bit of information with you.
Has your business been affected by COVID-19? The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center is available to assist entrepreneurs and small businesses in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The SBDC is sustained by the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration and collaborates with local agencies to support the small business community. The SBDC is nationally accredited and provides free consulting, business education training, and technical assistance. Attend workshops with subject matter experts from both the public and private sector. From idea generation to exit strategies, the staff at the SBDC is ready to assist you. Now is the time to contact them, so don't wait. Call or email them to find out how they can help your business grow and succeed.
¿Su negocio ha sido afectado por COVID-19? El Centro de Desarrollo de Pequeñas Empresas está disponible para ayudar a los empresarios en las Islas Vírgenes de los Estados Unidos. El SBDC es sostenido por la Universidad de las Islas Vírgenes y la Administración de Pequeñas Empresas de los Estados Unidos para apoyar a la comunidad de negocios pequeños. El SBDC está acreditado a nivel nacional y ofrece consultoría gratuita, educación empresarial y asistencia técnica. Asiste a talleres con expertos en la materia, tanto del sector público como del privado. Desde generaciones de ideas hasta estrategia de salida, el personal del SBDC está listo para ayudarlo. Ahora es el momento de contactarlos si necesita ayuda. Llame o envíe un correo electrónico para averiguar cómo puede ayudar a que su negocio crezca y tenga éxito.
Okay, our presentation today is Economic Aid Updates, and our presenter today is Mr. Wayne Huddleston. He is a Senior Area Manager for the SBA in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and today's presentation is being recorded. It was also live on Facebook, and I will turn over the presentation to Mr. Wayne Huddleston at this point. Wayne, you can share your screen.
All right, thank you. Hold on just 1 second. I'll get the sharing done here. Just going to share the PowerPoint presentation directly. Okay, can everyone see the first slide here, the title slide?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Wayne Huddleston. I'm the Senior Area Manager for SBA here in the Virgin Islands. Welcome to another Tuesday webinar hosted by the Small Business Development Center, our resource partner here in the territory. For those of you who've joined in the past, we do this every Tuesday for an hour from 10 till 11 o'clock. We cover different topics each time, but more frequently, I'm covering something related to Economic Relief Act or COVID or EIDL or PPP. However, regardless of the topic, we leave plenty of time to answer any questions you may have at the end, whether it's on that topic or something else related to an SBA program or our resource partners or whatever it may be. So please feel free to ask about anything SBA related, regardless of the topic. But of course, today's topic is going to be the Economic Relief Act overview. As you may have seen, there's been lots of different acts, iterations that have been passed since the pandemic began. The last one, there was the Economic Aid Act in December, and then there was American Rescue Plan Act, which was passed, I believe, in March. This presentation will give the synopsis of where those acts are at the time. We'll be covering a bunch of different programs here. One quick disclaimer, as you'll see in the bottom of this slide, is this is providing a general overview. It's not going into real detail because we're covering a lot of different topics. But whatever is presented here in this presentation We believe all of it will be true and correct. However, if by chance something is said or conveyed in this presentation that contradicts changed guidance or law, the official guidance is always what governs. So just for example here, you can also see at the bottom of the slide, it says this is current as of April 14th. I am not authorized to change this presentation. Our headquarters says this is the presentation you give. They only give updates once every 2 weeks or so. So I already know in this presentation on one of the slides, there is going to be inaccurate information. So when that information pops up, I will correct it and I will point that out to you. But I just want to give you that disclaimer. If you see something here, that it's always whatever the official guidance is at the time is what governs, not necessarily what is in the presentation. But just want to provide that. Okay, agenda. We're just going to cover these 6 things quickly where we are, a brief overview of what the funding options are. Then I'll go into a little bit more detail on PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, what we call SBA debt relief. I will also touch upon some grant programs that we have called Targeted EIDL Advance and Shuttered Venues Operators Grant. And then I'll provide some basic information on some new programs that are emerging now and being developed now. Targeted Advance, something called Community Navigators, and the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which I think will be of interest to a lot of people here. And then we'll talk about additional assistance and resources going forward before we answer your questions. So where we are in February and early March, the Biden-Harris administration and SBA took steps to ensure inclusivity and equitable relief for America's mom and pop businesses that anchor our neighborhoods and families and help families build wealth. The president signed the American Rescue Plan Act into law March 11th, providing additional relief for hard-hit businesses while building a bridge toward economic recovery. And on March 30th, he signed a PPP Extension Act into law. The agency is committed to administering these acts and implementing them as quickly as possible to ensure its equitable delivery to America's small businesses and their eligible entities. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to be focusing on is the Paycheck Protection Program. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. Debt relief, we'll spend a little bit of time. Economic injury, well, again, we'll go back to spending a little bit more time on that, and then we'll talk about Shuttered Venues Operators Grant and some other programs. So the first thing we're going to talk about is PPP, and here are the top takeaways from the Economic Aid Act and American Rescue Plan Acts. One is that it expanded eligibility and how funds could be used in the program. A borrower can now select a covered period between 8 and 24 weeks. And you're not stuck on one of those. You're not limited to just 8. You can now select a period in time in between that period. A second draw loan was offered for recipients of a PPP loan previously. Deduction of expenses with forgiven PPP loan debt on federal taxes. Also updated with a simplified forgiveness form to include loans up to $150,000. Prior to the Economic Aid Act, the simplified forgiveness form applied to those who had $50,000 and below from PPP. So that has since been raised. And it no longer subtracts what we call an EIDL advance from a PPP loan forgiveness amount. That was an unpopular part of the forgiveness program before. The administration's effort to prioritize equitable relief for mom and pop businesses. Policy changes took effect in late February and early March. They added a 14-day exclusive application period in which lenders could submit applications for the smallest businesses and nonprofits with fewer than 20 employees, and then increased support for independent contractors, sole proprietor, and eligible self-employed individuals. That period has passed, but they want to make sure you were aware of that. Updated loan amount calculations. So now Schedule C filers can use gross income rather than net profit to calculate their loan amount and could receive now more financial support. It is not retroactive for people who had already submitted a PPP application using the old form. However, if you submitted a Schedule C application prior to March 3rd, you should speak to your lender immediately and see if it can be withdrawn or canceled if it hasn't been approved, so that the new form can be used. If the loan has already been dispersed, it cannot be canceled, so no changes can be made to a loan that has already been dispersed. So there are additional steps to further promote fair and equitable distribution of funds here. They eliminated the restrictions on businesses with owners who have prior financial fraud or felony convictions. So you now can have a financial fraud and felony conviction and still be eligible for these loans. They eliminated the restriction on businesses owned or controlled by owners who are currently delinquent or have defaulted on federal student debt, and clarified all persons lawfully residing in the U.S. have access to the permitting and the use of individual taxpayer identification numbers to be identified as a PPP borrower. So we're going to talk about what a first draw PPP loan is. And that is simply a loan for individuals who did not receive an initial PPP loan. So if you didn't receive a PPP loan back last year before the August 8th deadline expired, then you would be applying for your first draw. You must have been in business by February 15th of 2020. It's not intended to help you start a new business. Borrowers can set the covered period, as I mentioned earlier, anywhere between 8 and 24 weeks. There are some additional entities that are now eligible, which I'll discuss briefly. Covered eligible expenses are expanded, which I'll touch upon as well. But you must apply on or before May 31st or until appropriations are exhausted. At this point, I do not expect appropriations to be exhausted before that deadline. However, I am very confident that there are many lenders who will close their application portal prior to May 31st. Typically, many of the lenders are closing about a week in advance so that they can have suitable time to finish all their processing of the applications and submit those to SBA. That May 31st deadline is the deadline lenders have to submit them to SBA. So I would not wait. If you haven't applied for a PPP loan and are still thinking about it, you should go ahead and do it. You should not wait at any time at all. You should go ahead and do it before these funds expire, because they will. Eventually, this will all go away and the PPP program will be done. So May 31st right now is that deadline, but certainly you want to get in before that. Eligibility is to almost every business here in the Virgin Islands. You must comply with the size standards, which 95 or so or more percent of all businesses in the Virgin Islands are comply with the small business size standards. 501c3 nonprofit organizations are newly eligible, and internet-only news and internet-only periodical publishing organizations are now newly eligible. Every entity that was eligible prior to this is still eligible for a first draw PPP loan. Sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed individuals, partnerships, LLCs, the whole list is right there. So what is a second draw PPP loan? And that is just simply someone who's already received a PPP loan in the past and is getting their second draw. There are a few different rules that govern the second draw PPP loan. You must have, I believe it's in my screen, here we go, 300 employees or less, and suffered at least a 25% reduction in gross receipts compared to the previous year. The maximum loan amount is $2 million. The covered periods cannot overlap. So this is a question that comes up for people who are applying for a first draw. They get it, and then they start spending it down, and they ask, can they apply for a second draw? And you can, but you must wait till that covered period is complete. So in many cases, of course, if you got a first draw loan last year, your covered period is not going to overlap. If you got it early this year, you still must wait for at least 8 weeks to get that covered period to lapse, and then you can be approved for a second draw PPP loan. But you still must demonstrate at least a 25% reduction in gross receipts between comparable quarters in 2019 and 2020. And the key is that these must be comparable quarters. You cannot compare a fourth quarter with a first quarter, or you just have to be the exact same. So whatever 2019 quarter you're using, you have to use those same months and same time frame for 2020 to show that reduction. And it doesn't have to be every quarter. So you just have to find one of those quarters that shows that reduction and you could be fine. So the application process is very simple. Here in the Virgin Islands, all the 5 major lenders here in the Virgin Islands are eligible to process PPP loans: Popular, First Bank, Oriental, Merchants, and Bank of St. Croix. Highly recommend that you start with a lender with which you already have an existing relationship. Certainly, if you've done your first draw PPP lender loan with a lender, you should return to that same lender to do your second draw. If you have not done a PPP loan at all, go to the lender with which you have a bank account in some way, in some sort of relationship. But you don't have to. You can go to any other lender as well. And you don't have to be restricted to just Virgin Island lenders. There are plenty of lenders online as well that can help you. But highly encourage you to use the local lenders, as they have been doing hundreds and hundreds of PPP loans for Virgin Island businesses. And on that point, before I go through this slide, I do want to emphasize this is a lender-driven program. You do not apply for PPP through SBA at all. It is 100% with your local lender. They do all the determinations. If you apply for a PPP loan, the biggest benefit of a PPP loan is that it is forgivable. So it can turn into what would be essentially a grant. You can have 100% forgiven. If you do not comply with the terms of the loan, however, or choose not to apply for forgiveness, then that just stays a loan. And that PPP loan has these following terms, which would be a fixed interest rate of 1%. It's non-compounding and non-adjustable. There's no requirement for collateral personal guarantees, and there are no fees or prepayment penalties. It's a 5-year maturity. There are some people who received a PPP loan prior to June 5th, 2020, in which it was 2 years, but borrowers can extend that to 5 years just by speaking with their lender if they wish. Payments start once the borrower knows how much of the PPP loan is forgiven. The lender will notify the borrower. So if there are some of you out there who have applied for a loan and are waiting on forgiveness, do not worry that you will have to start making payments if that forgiveness decision has still not been rendered. You will not have to do so until that decision is rendered. But the lender will notify you, and SBA notifies, lender makes a decision, informs SBA, SBA approves or denies that decision, and then informs the lender, and then they inform you. In most cases, those loans should be 100% forgiven, but if not, they will let you know what the process is for there. So you must, again, submit it through your lender. These are some changes that came out during the Economic Aid Act. Before, if you had received an idle advance that was deducted, that is no longer deducted. Expenses paid with PPP funds are tax deductible. There are expanded forgivable expenses, which I'll touch upon here in a little bit. And there is a simplified forgiveness application form. Looks like I don't have the slide here where they talk about the expanded expenses that are permissible. So I'm just going to tell you right now. There is a 60% requirement that when you receive a PPP loan, at least 60% of that must be spent on payroll in order for that to qualify for 100% forgiveness. I highly encourage you, if you receive a PPP loan, to spend 100% of it on payroll to simplify the process and ease the decision for your forgiveness. If for some reason you are unable to spend 100% of that loan on payroll, then you can spend down to 60% on payroll, and the other 40% can be for mortgage interest, utilities, and then Economic Aid Act expanded it to include worker protective equipment. So if you had to purchase masks, gloves, or other protective equipment, or install shields in your facility, or do some things to mitigate against spread and implement social distancing guidelines, then those are also expenses that were eligible under PPP that can be included in part of that 40% that could be eligible. So just be aware that that is there for you in case you need that. Next point I'm going to talk about is the economic injury disaster loan. This is a loan. It is not forgivable. It is a direct loan from SBA, not through your lender. The deadline was extended from December of 2020 to December of 2021. So you still have plenty of time to apply for this loan. It can be used for working capital and normal operating expenses, rent, utilities, fixed debt payments. And to be clear, fixed debt payments are not to pay off the balance of a debt. It is to pay the ongoing monthly obligations that you have on that debt. So if you have a 10-year note and you're paying monthly on it, you can't just pay it all off, but you can make those monthly payments with an economic injury disaster loan. But even though it is a loan, the terms are very friendly. They are 3.75% for businesses, 2.75% for nonprofits. They have a 30-year term. There is no prepayment penalty. You do not have to have collateral for loans under $25,000. And the eligibility is quite broad. Qualified small businesses, cooperatives, agricultural businesses with 500 or fewer employees. You can go to our website and see the size standards, but almost all businesses here in Virgin Islands qualify under our size standards. So I highly encourage you, if you are getting a economic injury disaster loan, that you go ahead and if you think you might need a loan, go ahead and apply, even if you don't wish to carry the debt, and get that approval with the no prepayment penalty. I encourage people to have that loan set aside, put it in a separate account so it's not commingled with all your other operating funds accounts. I also encourage you to do the same with PPP loan if you get those as well. And if you decide several months from now you do not need an economic injury disaster loan and do not wish to carry that debt, you can just return that to SBA, and there's no penalty other than the interest that it accrued during the short time you held the loan. And most businesses find that to be well worth the cost to have that extra fund sitting there. So loan limit is up to 24 months of economic injury with a $500,000 loan limit. Prior to a few weeks back, it was $150,000, and now that's up to $500,000. So for businesses that had received in the past an EIDL loan of $150,000 because they were capped and cannot go any further, they are eligible for an increase. To request an increase, you can email COVID EIDL increase requests at sba.gov and put in that subject line and put in your application number in that. Most businesses were contacted directly from SBA, but if you have not been contacted and you wish to receive that request or make that request for an increase, just email this email address right here to make that request. And again, this is for businesses who had received the max already. So if you received an amount less than $150,000, then you were probably not eligible for an increase because the formula decided that you couldn't go above that amount anyway. So they're using the same formula to calculate the amount that you're eligible for. They're just removing the cap. So loans made in 2020, the first payment is due 24 months from the date of the note. And loans made in 2021, the first payment is due 18 months from the date of the note. And that's an increase from before it was 1 year. So now it's been expanded significantly. Debt relief, I'm just going to quickly touch upon this for any business owner that had an SBA loan existing already. And when I say SBA loan, I mean what's called a 7A, 504, or micro loan. These come from local lenders, but they are SBA guaranteed. If you have such a loan, you would know it. These are not disaster loans. But for these loans, SBA is making payments on those loans for a certain amount of time. It depends on the type of loan and the business and some circumstances there. You do not need to do anything. SBA is identifying the loans within its portfolio that are eligible for this, and then they just reach out to the borrowers and make those payments on your behalf. Of course, if you believe that you should have had payment, you were making payments on your 7A or 504 loan all this time, and you never had any payments made for you, I'm going to reach out to your lender, or you can go to our website here and get more information on that program. But if you believe you were eligible for debt relief payments and didn't receive them, then contact your lender, not SBA. There also is a program called Targeted Idle Advance. This is to help businesses that did not receive the idle advance in the first go round before funds ran out. They're only for business and nonprofits that applied for an economic injury disaster loan and are in a low income community and suffered greater than 30% economic loss and have fewer than 300 employees, or 300 or fewer employees. If you meet the criteria above, you will balance out a previous it will balance out a previous idle advance to a full 10,000. So what that is saying is if you received 5,000 before the idle advance ran out last time, you are now eligible to receive that additional 5,000 to take you up to 10,000. Or if you had a certain amount and just couldn't, or if some other amount less than that, it can take you up to the full 10,000. SBA is emailing all eligible businesses that may qualify for this. Now, just because they email you doesn't mean you're automatically qualified for it. They will ask you to submit information on this, but they are trying to identify all businesses who have applied and did not receive that advance in the past and who now may be eligible under the criteria stated above. If you are eligible and you receive that email, you will need to submit a tax return. Make sure your SSN or EIN is the same as the one that was on the original application. You must submit monthly gross receipts, confirmation that the information is still accurate, and you may be required to sign a 4506T so that they can obtain tax transcripts for further processing from you. SBA has a process of working with the local IRB to obtain those transcripts from you, but you cannot submit that yourself. That has to come directly from IRB. There's only one submission. You must review your account information very carefully to make sure it is correct. Here's an example of something that is not necessarily correct in a slide that has changed. So in the past, SBA was saying that if you did not submit information correctly and you made mistakes in the process and were denied because of those mistakes, that was it, and that was too bad. But now you are eligible to request a reconsideration if you made a mistake in a process. Highly encourage you still to quadruple check all your information to make sure it's accurate. Going through the reconsideration process can be lengthy and not very fun. So even though you're now eligible to have a reconsideration on your advance request, it's certainly not something you want to do just for fun times. But now you can, if you had made a mistake, this bullet point is not accurate, so you can make reconsiderations if you need to. The goal is to complete the application process within 21 days, but all information must be received first. If you have questions on this program, email targetedadvance@sba.gov. Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. This program is not applied to very many businesses here in the Virgin Islands, but there are some who are eligible. Like venue operators, theater producers, movie theaters, live performing organizations, talent representatives can all be eligible for what we call a SVOG grant. There's information about that more on our site. You can go to sba.gov and get more information on that. When I end my presentation here, I'll pull up our site to show where you can get more information on those. With this grant program, you must register in SAM. There's a lot more information on our site about it, sba.gov, SVO grant, and you can get that information there. There are some new programs that we're going to be talking about more. There's something called the Supplemental Targeted Advance Payment. There's a $5 billion fund for $5,000 payments for those that are hardest hit. You can get more information on that on our website, sba.gov, Targeted Advance. There's also something called the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, where $28.6 billion was set aside for restaurants. A maximum $5 million grant an aggregate amount of $10 million can be awarded to restaurant owners by their locations. More information can be found on our site. If you want more information about this program, I am giving a presentation on it tomorrow at the hosted by the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority. You can just visit their website and sign up for it there and get the link for that. And I will spend the entire time talking about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and information we have at this point on that program. There's also what we call a Community Navigator pilot program, and these are for eligible organizations that are established and supporting efforts to improve access to the funding sources. So the key takeaways are the Paycheck Protection Program. That is a program that will end May 31st. Realistically, I would say you have about 30 days to really get your application in with the lender before they start stopping their application process. If you have not taken advantage of it, you should do so by now, because that will go away, and that is a forgivable loan. Debt relief, we talked about briefly. Economic injury disaster loan and targeted ILO advance. If you have not applied for that program yet and wish to be considered for an economic injury disaster loan, go to SBA.gov and find that program. You can do your application online right there. And we talked about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. With these programs, there are local resources that are available to help. I provide briefings to our Small Business Development Center staff and our SCORE staff. They also get lots of information from other resources. They are fully aware of all these programs, and they can help you with your application and sort through where to go to apply, how to pull your information to do it. They can't do the application for you. They can help you along in that process and answer your questions. SCORE.org is an organization that exists largely online for the Virgin Islands right now, but it is connected with the SCORE chapter in Florida. And they have a lot of very smart volunteers up there who have experience in a wide variety of industries, who would be happy to mentor you, not only on the resource programs that are available due to COVID-19, but also just helping your business in general, with your business plan, with your plans for growth, with your ability to face challenges in your business. They have a lot of great people who are very knowledgeable about different industries up there. I'd be happy to help mentor you in that process. They also provide a lot of workshops and templates that can help you out as you plan for your business on your own. And then here locally is the Small Business Development Center. I don't have to do a lot of talking about that because you're already using their services just by virtue of being in this presentation. But they have one-on-one counselors that are available to provide you, or they have individual counselors that are available to provide you one-on-one assistance, not only for these types of programs, but for just about anything that you are doing with your business, they can assist you with. I don't know how these marks are getting on the screen, but I'm not touching my computer, so I don't know how it's happening. You can subscribe to SBA's newsletter at, at SBA.gov updates. Okay, so I think it's someone named Rafael Friera. So if you are messing with your computer, if you can just pause for just a moment. I'm almost done with this presentation, and then you can mark up the screen as much as you want. So SBA newsletters, you can get at SBA.gov updates. You can follow us on Twitter at SBA.gov. You can also follow our Twitter account for Puerto Rico, which also covers the Virgin Islands at SBA_Puerto Rico. You can email me directly, wayne.huddleston@sba.gov. My number is there. Do not call that number right now. Yesterday, my phone completely died. I have no way of answering calls or answering voicemails on that line, so do not call that number right now. Use the email address for me, wayne.huddleston@sba.gov. That is the primary way to reach me for at least the next 2 weeks until my headquarters can send me a new phone. And again, here below are the websites to get more information on the programs. So now we're gonna open it up to questions. I'm going to, before I open up the questions though, I'm going to show you one more thing. I can get there, let's see. well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Wait, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Hold on just one second. I'm going to show you our website. Okay. So I want to share you this briefly. If you go to just SBA.gov, just SBA.gov to get more information, this is the first page you'll see. Click the link for more information on COVID relief. And then here you can go do a deeper dive on any one of the programs I talked about today. Paycheck protection, EIDL, Restaurant Revitalization Fund, Shuttered venues, debt relief. And then this slide talks about how the programs work together. So you can get more information there. Again, I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. But if you want to get a jump start on it, all the program details are here. You can download a program guide and get a lot more information about how that program is going to work as it rolls out.
Can you share your screen, Wayne?
I thought I was sharing my screen. Am I not?
I think you need to click on new share and then share.
Okay, let me try this again. All right, so what's being shown right now? Is it a website?
Now you're sharing. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to go back briefly. This is the SBA.gov front page. Just hit SBA.gov, click Learn More, and then you have them all listed right here. And if you want to learn more information about it, you can do it. And just an example, if I'm clicking on Restaurant Revitalization Fund, here's all the information that we have at this time. You can get a full guide that's downloadable. There's a sample application form, and it goes into a lot more information about how to apply and what that program is going to look like. So, but make use of our website. You don't have to wait for one of these presentations to get information on SBA programs. And we have a lot of information on COVID relief, but we also have plenty of information on just other programs, on business planning guides, funding programs, information on federal contracting. We have a learning platform and a learning center, which provides a lot of good information for you. So our website has a ton of things there, and I encourage you to make use of it. So I'm going to stop sharing my presentation for now and open it up to any questions that people may have regarding this or anything related to SBA.
Okay, Wayne, there was a question. It said, I applied for a targeted EIDL loan and haven't heard back yet. Can I also apply for a PPP loan?
Yes.
My first time in this program as a sole proprietor. Thanks.
Yes, please go ahead. Those programs do not have any issues with PPP and EIDL. There's no problem. So go ahead, apply for your EIDL advance while you're waiting. Go ahead and get your PPP application. And in fact, I encourage you to do so because that PPP application deadline will expire here in the coming weeks.
Okay, the targeted EIDL loan, they don't apply for that advance. Is that correct?
Correct. The targeted EIDL advance, you'll receive an email. You should receive an email. If you think for some reason you did not receive an email on targeted EIDL advance and you're not eligible, and you think you're eligible to apply, you can email that email address, targeted EIDL advance at SBA.gov. But you should receive an email if you're eligible to apply.
Okay, and if they received an email for the targeted EIDL and they applied, how long should they wait to hear something?
I don't know. It depends. I would think within, if you received the email and then you returned all the information that was requested in that email and followed those directions, and it has been more than 2 weeks and you have not heard anything, then submit your email again. You can also call 1-800-659-2955, which is the Office of Disaster Assistance customer service line. And you can give them your information and they can try to look you up in a system there. But you should hear something within 2 weeks. But I'm not sure exactly how long they're taking right now.
Okay. There's a question about the CDBG, but that's not an SBA program. So I think the person would need to check with the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority for the CDBG grant information. Okay, next question. Just to confirm, the unsecured limit for idle is $25,000. What security / collateral is acceptable by SBA?
I mean, tangible assets, buildings, durable equipment, things like that that are not secured by another entity in some way. All the normal things that a lender would require for collateral are what SBA would require.
Okay, Mr. Fiera, I think you'll need to call us and we can talk about the details of your situation offline. Because I don't, Wayne, do you have any information about CDBG grants?
That is a HUD program, so it's not our agency at all. And you are correct. The Virgin Island Housing Finance Authority is the entity that administers those funds here for the territory. So you'd have to speak with them on eligibility for CDBG.
Okay. Question, what are some of the lenders you recommend?
I recommend the lender that you're already working with. That's the main one. So I recommend you go with whoever you have an account. If you are not satisfied with the service you're receiving from the lender in which you have an account, then you can always go to another lender. If I was choosing a lender from scratch, I would go with a local lender, and I would pick one locally, or you could pick one in the states that you're comfortable with. I can't really tell you to go to one lender over another. It would be inappropriate for me to advocate for one lender over another. I can tell you that all 5 lenders here in the territory have been processing PPP loans, though, and have been successful at doing so.
Okay. All right. Now, Wayne, there was one question for people that are applying for the PPP loan.
Mm-hmm.
If they were sole proprietors, they were originally looking at their net profit, but now you're saying they can use their gross revenue?
Correct.
Okay. And that's indicated on the new application?
Correct.
Great. All right. Well, while we're waiting for a couple more questions, I wanted to share some upcoming webinar information with our audience. Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, we have the first in our webinar series, our business development webinar series, and that's developing your business plan. That's at 2 p.m. And on Tuesday next week, we'll have Wayne back with some more information. We haven't quite decided on the topic yet, but we'll have that. But then next Tuesday at 2 p.m., we have a webinar in collaboration with the Georgia SBDC, and it's going to be on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, and that's from 2 to 3:30. And that information for registration will be up by the end of today on our website. And you can register on our website at visbdc.org, or you can register on our Facebook page for any of our upcoming webinars. Next week, Wednesday at 2 p.m., we'll have the second in our development series. And that workshop is on the fundamentals of business credit. And next week, Thursday, we will have identifying resources for federal grants and government contracting. And that's going to be presented by the Office of the Delegate to Congress. And that will be on Thursday at 2 p.m. next week. Uh-oh. There's another question. Any loans available for businesses established in 2021?
Sure, there are loans available if you're established in 2021, not COVID relief loans, not PPP, not idle. But if you just need a loan for your business that you've already started, you can contact one of the local lenders and they can give you just a direct loan. They can also use an SBA guarantee to provide an SBA guaranteed loan to you. But these COVID relief programs are specifically for businesses that had started earlier.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what loan program Ms. Edwards is referring to, but she says she has a business license in Florida, but I do business in the VI and planning to move to St. Croix. Can I still apply in the VI or just in Florida?
But I do business in the VI. Yeah, you can apply for either place. You can apply, yeah, you can apply in Michigan if you want. There are, as long as a lender will process the loan for you, there's no requirements on where you're going to be. Now, some lenders may say, we don't have anything in that market. If your business is going to be in St. Croix, we're not comfortable processing a loan for you. But yeah, you can certainly apply for a loan at either bank. So I would look at both and see who's most responsive for you. So let's see, there's a question. HUD is not approving CDBG based on DOB. I'm not sure what DOB stands for. I know that as date of birth.
Yep.
With the PPP and EIDL, does SBA as an agency allow that? Again, we don't really have any authority over the CDBG program, but I'm not sure what doing other business with PPP. I'm not sure what that means. So you'd have to talk with, we have no authority on CDBG. So if they make their own rules regarding that program, then that's them. I'm not aware, I've never heard of someone receiving a grant or lose eligibility for a grant outside of SBA because of what they received from SBA. But again, duplication of benefits. Okay, so maybe, so if there was a grant and part of the grant under CDBG was to pay for payroll or some other expense that was covered from SBA, you know, that's them. They can make those rules. But that is, that's CDBG, that's HUD, and that's the Virgin Island Housing Finance Authority. So I don't know who you're working with. If you're in the Virgin Islands, there is the Virgin Island Housing Finance Authority. You can speak with them, but if you're in Puerto Rico, then it's a different entity that handles that for there. So, and again, if you want to talk more in depth on that, you can contact. Why don't you just email me and I'll see if I can just forward you to the right person who can answer your questions and maybe help you with that. Okay, I see another question. I was self-employed worker in 2019. However, received unemployment and worked for census part-time in 2020. Can I still apply for PPP or EIDL? Yeah, you can still apply. Yeah, I would think so. You were self-employed in 2019. Yeah, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to apply for an EIDL loan if under your tax ID number, you just have to show that you weren't receiving the income that you had in 2019 due to the pandemic. You should be fine. Where do I email? You can email my email address. I'll put it in here. And we'll see. Oops. Let's see. Put that in for everyone. And again, we'll see if we can get you routed to the right person there.
Okay. Looks like we have entertained all of the questions. And on behalf of the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, our state director, Mr. Ted Gutierrez, and our staff on St. Croix and St. Thomas, we want to thank you all for joining us. The VI SBDC is working with clients. We are making appointments. Most of them are remote appointments, but please email us, call us, And if you're not yet registered as a client at the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, please do that, and we will assign someone to work with you and help you to advance your business venture, whether it's from inception all the way up to going out of business. The Virgin Islands SBDC is here for the life of your business. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.